numbers, historical dates. I had the world record there for 10 years, and now you're holding it for like 4 years already, 3 or 4 years, I'm not sure.
Yes, I think since 2019, I'm holding that world
Yeah,
record.
and with 148 historic dates, for sure. And yeah, what I was interesting, a bit of technical stuff. You were mentioning that you think that it doesn't matter. For example, or I'll give you a bit of a background for the audience here. You have a 2-digit system for numbers, and also one card system. And for numbers, for example, you didn't use any phonetics. You have like, you described it with the chopsticks. So 11 looks a bit like chopsticks. So you just went with that. So your translation is not used by chopsticks. It's by phonetics. It's a bit different. It's just a different approach to convert numbers into images, right?
Yes, correct.
And
yes. Yeah. So in the beginning, obviously, when I was figuring out how to create images out of numbers, I think Dominic system was probably an inspiration, because it is also about 2-digit system. So initially I took inspiration from Dominic system. But as I mentioned that I saw that video of 2010 World Memory Championship. So I think there's a section where Wang Fang is explaining his system. So how he visualizes the images in various memory palace. So from there on, I got one particular idea that most of his images that I saw there were primarily objects instead of persons. So there was probably a balloon, there was a chair, and while in the Dominic system and other, I think it is kind of a PO where you have a person also and an object associated with it. So obviously initially I had some people as well. I still do have certain people in different numbers. Later on, I replaced a lot of people with objects, and how I took them. So I thought I heard it that I'm not sure whether it is true or not, that probably Chinese people, they already have an image for maybe numbers or words. So I realized that instead of going for any phonetic system, major system, Dominic system, obviously Dominic system is something from where I can say that there are some images that are based on Dominic system. But then I realized that instead of sticking to one particular system, I can probably take a shape system also. So for example, 11 chopsticks, it's kind of a shape system. Then I thought, then I started thinking about my images, and I thought, okay, if I see at this particular number and what this number reminds me of, organically, I don't want to use any system for it. So this is how I started thinking about my images, and that is how I developed my images. Because I knew that it does not matter how you create your images. At the end of it, what matters is how good you are with your images, how good you are with your memory palaces. If you can create a flow and if you can become faster with it, you can obviously improve. And unfortunately, a lot of people, a lot of athletes, young athletes, they waste a lot of time in thinking about which system is the best or maybe which image is the best. So I think it's better if you start practicing with whatever images you have. And during the course of time, I also realized that there were certain images that were not as smooth or as good. You can always, replace them later on. For example, I replaced some of my images in the cards early on. But for the numbers, as I mentioned, so it was a combination of maybe shape or maybe Dominic system and the organic system. So I did not rely on any phonetic or something of that sort.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you think, or that you're, in your opinion, it doesn't matter that if you have a 2-digit system or a 3-digit system. In the end, it's a matter of practice, of training, and so on. I would like to discuss that a bit, because I feel, I think from my perspective, a 3-digit system must be faster in the end, because it's 3 digits. You have to memorize less information. You need less location. So isn't it that in the end, the 3-digit system must be faster and must have a better outcome? What do you think?
Yes, absolutely. 3-digit system has definitely advantages over 2-digit system, and the biggest advantage is that you will have to use lesser number of locations comparatively to 2-digit system. So that's the first bigger advantage. Second advantage, obviously, as a lot of people think, that the images would not get repeated as often if we compare it with 2-digit system. But I think my personal experience has been that with the 2-digit system, I think I've been able to do it quite fast. And I've seen a lot of Chinese athletes also who are doing, I think, equally fast, if not faster, than people who are doing it with 3-digit system. So of course, I'm not discarding this fact that 3-digit system but doesn't have advantages. Of course, it has advantages. And if you have time, any athlete, if you have time, if you are serious about it and can invest more time into it, go for 3-digit system. I would say that. But since I already built that 2-digit system and I felt I was doing good with it, I was getting good scores in almost all the events, and I never really felt the need of kind of changing the system to 3-digit. So I stuck to it. So, but when it comes to speed, I don't think I think because I've seen my scores as well, I've seen some other scores as well. I think they're equally fast. Obviously, in certain events, for example, in marathon events, of course, 3-digit system is definitely an advantage, and not only in that, in the cards as well. So for example, let's say 2-card system is definitely better when it comes to 1-card system. But the point is that you need to master your system, whatever you want to go ahead with. So I think your question is true to an extent, but I have full faith in 2-digit system as well.
Yeah, I mean your scores, and not just yours, but a lot of other athletes with the 2-digit systems, and show that this is on an even level with the 3-digit system. I'm always thinking, if we would train, if you would start training with the 3-digit system as well and reach the same level as of today with the 2-digit system, you might be a bit better with the 3-digit system. But this is very theoretical, and doesn't make sense to think too much about it. And the second thing was historical dates. I mean, this was always my favorite discipline. It's still. I had the world record there for 10 years, and now you're holding it for like 4 years already, 3 or 4 years, I'm not sure.
Yes, I think since 2019, I'm holding that world record.
So and with 148 historic dates, and this is really cool to see. Or to listen to the craft of memory, because I felt so many things. I just can repeat it like, it's exactly the same. Look at the first word, and if the first word repeats, you just look on another word, or you look on the whole event, things like that. It's really cool to hear someone who is exactly doing the same somehow, but what you do differently is you have a 2-digit system, so you have, I call it the 11 location or 11 rooms technique. So you put the event, the keyword for the event plus the 2-digit number into a specific room, location, whatever it is. And it's fascinating that it's so fast that you don't mix things up in this location.
Yes. Yeah. So when I started off with the 2-digit system, so I think in the initial 2 championships or so, I did not train historical dates much, because obviously with the 2-digit system, it's very difficult to even cross 50 or 60 historic dates. If you're going with just the regular system where you are associating the first 2 images of the numbers and then with the event. So then I started thinking about it. And for a moment, I thought that maybe now I should get back to or switch to 3-digit system, because obviously there's no way that I can perform well in historic dates with this system. But I think later on, I think maybe I spoke to Jonas Von Essen, or I think someone else,
Jonas,
where I think he also uses the same system, I guess. Yes. So I think I spoke to him, if I'm not wrong, if I'm not mistaken. And then I got that idea that, okay, this is also quite fascinating, and let me try with it. So yes, so I basically, for every century, I started creating locations, but it necessarily doesn't need to be a room. It could also be an open area, or maybe anything. I think you got the point, right? So yeah, I started doing with that. And I think in Singapore Open in 2015, that was kind of the first breakthrough moment for me. I think Simon was also there in that championship. So it was great meeting him there. So yeah, so in that event, I ended up winning a gold in historic dates. So I think I memorized at that point of time, it was maybe in the 70s, the score. So what I did was, initially I was worried that if I don't review the dates, and I might not score that much. So, but in that championship, I decided that I will stick to this system. I will not review it. So I did not review the dates. I ended up getting a 70 odd score, maybe 73 dates or so. And I got a gold. So that increased my confidence. And then I realized, okay, now I can completely rely on the system. So if I can get 73, I can even cross 100. And then after that, I think once you get that direction, I started practicing passionately historical dates, because I always loved historical dates and random words. So yes, I think with consistent practice, I felt I improved my scores. And I think in the WMSC also, yeah, so 148 is the IM event. I think in the WMSC event I scored 154 dates as well. And in practice I've crossed 160 as well. So then I realized that yes, it is doable. So the idea was that once you get faster, then you simply need to just take the idea of it, take the idea of the number, whatever is there, instead of taking time and clearly visualizing it, and just have faith in yourself. Because the why I'm discussing this, that I did not review in Singapore Open, because I was initially worried that what if I don't review, I might forget. But that breakthrough moment made me realize that no, you don't even have to clearly visualize in particular locations. Just see the idea, put it there, go fast, as fast as possible. It's like just simply read the dates and have faith in yourself that I would be able to kind of recall it. So it's kind of building a momentum while doing the dates, and luckily it worked out for me.
How high is your accuracy? So if you get like 150, at how many dates did you look? So how many do you see, and how high is the accuracy?
I think it's difficult to actually tell that what is the accuracy, but generally when I'm doing at home, my aim is to look at around close to 180 dates or so. And sometimes I'm able to do it before time, like let's say look at 180 dates in 4.5 minutes or so. Sometimes when I'm out of touch, I'm not practicing that much, I might be able to only do, let's say, 170 dates in 5 minutes. So, but when I'm doing it, score kind of fluctuates. It depends on if I'm in regular touch, if I'm in regular training, I might be getting, let's say, more than 135 on most of the occasions, sometimes 140 plus. But when I'm probably out of touch, then I also get some low scores as well, like maybe less than 120, close to 115, 114. So it depends on like whether I'm training regularly those disciplines or not.
It's really cool. It inspired me to test things on or try things on historic dates as well. Of course,
in fact, sorry to interrupt you, but you were the inspiration for me in historic dates, because again, I mean, I always go back to that 2000 World Championship where you were, I think you got a score of 120 odd dates, I guess, there, broke the world record. So yeah, that was quite fascinating for me. I always wanted to explore historical dates more, because one more reason, because that this discipline actually has a practical application in the real world too, especially when you're memorizing, let's say, dates from history or from any subject. So I think if you can do more than 120, 130 every time, so it's so cool to kind of apply it in real life and teach others.
Yeah, so yeah, you definitely inspired me to test locations again. I mean, I use a 3-digit system, and I just connect the word to the keyword to the number of my system. But I did that in when I started memory sports. I did use locations for historic dates. And I get up to 50, 60, 70, something like that. And this is something I really want to try. Trying like 150 locations and then just do the same as I do right now, but put it on a location. And let's see if
You're talking about using 150 locations or dates?
Yes. Actually, I would try, for example, if I want to memorize 150 dates, I would use 150 locations. So it's different from your thing. You're having centuries, but I would have a location for each date, just to see if the accuracy increases or not. Because, for example, if there's a king, sometimes there's a king. This is always a location for me. It's a palace. Then I'm in the palace close to the king. Or if it's a ship, I'm on a boat. So there are already locations, but now I want to test that. I will test that and let you know. So
absolutely, cool. And also, but there's one I cannot say disadvantage in the locations centuries method, is that when you go too fast, as it is in my case, you are easily able to remember the last 2 digits, but sometimes you confuse the centuries or locations. So sometimes, let's say, if I memorize something 1135, there is a possibility that when you're recalling after a few minutes, you might end up writing 1535 instead of 1135. So that is one area where I think it can be improved. But I think it's okay, because in every system you will have certain pros and cons. But I think the ROI on this is absolutely worth it, especially for somebody who's using a 2-digit system.
Yeah, definitely. For a 2-digit system, I think that's the way to go, because always having like an image for 12 and an image for 35, So you will not end up with a high score then. It's almost impossible, I guess. You need something different.